Hello everyone, and welcome to my Bold and Beautiful Today channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Paris formerly pregnant, the real reason Thomas proposed so fast? The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers reveal that Hope Logan see and understand why Thomas Forrester would rush into an engagement with another woman. It's one thing for Thomas to date Paris Buckingham, but it's quite another to put a ring on it and plan on saying marriage promises. Of course, Thomas acts like he's simply set up what he's looking for now that he's taken his hope blinders out. Paris and Thomas had a spark indeed back when they were just roommates, so Thomas feels like perhaps this was all meant to be. Still, it'd be intriguing if there was a secret reason why Thomas made the vault to a marriage offer. What if commodity specific caused Thomas to pop the question to Paris so presto? Thomas told Hope that he wanted another child, so Hope was taken suddenly over that news. Now that Thomas is talking about erecting a family with Paris and giving Douglas Forrester a stock, it stirs up some intriguing questions. Could Paris formerly be pregnant with Thomas' baby? What if that's the real reason Thomas proposed to Paris so snappily? Still, also that might be motivated Thomas to go each in with her, if Paris accidentally ended up with a bun in the roaster. Thomas might be taken it as a sign and made Paris a marriage offer once he got gestation updates. Naturally, it'd be a lot for Hope and the Forresters to reuse if Thomas came home with a new fiancée and blazoned she was awaiting his child. Thomas and Paris might be agreed it was too soon to start spreading the word about the baby. That said, Thomas might be laying the route for that disclosure with all this talk about wanting another child and erecting a family with Paris. It could be Thomas' way of trying to ease Hope and the others into his eventual baby concession. Indeed, if Paris isn't pregnant yet, she could wind up awaiting Thomas Spratt sooner or laterally. That could clearly bring a curveball if Thomas and Hope eventually get back together. Do you suppose some B&B baby drama is brewing? Is Paris formerly pregnant, or could that implicit stunner come down the road? The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say further surprises are in store, so stick with us for further prognostications on how Paris' possible gestation could affect the story. Then's what Paris and Thomas are really doing to Hope on Bold and the Beautiful. Paris Buckingham might be a designing woman after all. Hope was thrown for a circle when Thomas made a surprise return to Los Angeles on Bold and the Beautiful. What was indeed more shocking was that Thomas blazoned he and Paris are engaged to be married. But perhaps, just perhaps, there's further to the story. Secret agent Paris Buckingham Thomas, Matthew Atkinson, left Los Angeles before this time with a broken heart. While it's always possible he fell for Paris, Diamond White, on the answer, there could be further to his unforeseen engagement to the Forrester Foundation director. Thomas's engagement to Paris shouldn't really be surprising because he's been known to do whatever it takes to win Hope's heart. He formerly got to the balcony with Paris's family Zoe, Kiara Barnes, in trouble to force Hope's hand. It boomeranged big time. Has Thomas come up with another scheme involving a Buckingham stock to get Hope to admit her true passions for him? It's quite possible. Did Thomas prompt his son Douglas to start calling Paris Mom? That's right out of Thomas's manipulative Bold and the Beautiful playbook. What do you suppose? Post a comment. Douglas is still youthful enough and trusting enough to be speaking from the heart when it comes to his fondness for Paris. The question remains, however, is Paris in on Thomas's likely scheme to manipulate Hope? Way ahead. Paris is nothing's fool. She has spoken up before when she's realized that commodity is amiss, like when Quinn was going to renew her promises with Eric despite having jumped into bed with Carter. So, on one hand, we find it hard to believe she'd go on with Thomas to try and trick Hope. Unless, of course, she felt that this move will make Hope eventually happy. Also, Paris isn't above engaging in some shenanigans. Flashback when she got Zoe to ingest a laxative-laced smoothie? There's a mischievous side to her. On the other hand, Paris saw how Thomas used Zoe and also Douglas to play on Hope's feelings. Does she really suppose that Thomas wouldn't use her to achieve the same thing? It's grueling to get a sense for the true dynamic between Thomas and Paris because their relationship developed off camera while they were abroad. Might Bold and the Beautiful give flashbacks to show how Paris and Thomas got close to one another? If they did, observers might get some perceptivity as to whether or not Paris and Thomas have true lodging value. It's quite possible that Thomas truly has changed and he's trying to force Hope's hand into marrying him. Will Thomas admit the truth? The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Friday, June 28, 2024, reveal Ridge trying to get to the bottom of affairs with Thomas. The bold and the beautiful spoilers, Ridge Forrester sees the writing on the wall. It was indeed 2 times ago when Ridge Forrester had to have this same talk with Carter Walton. Carter also planned to marry Paris Buckingham when it was clear that he was in love with Quinn Fuller. Trending. The bold and the beautiful spoilers, Paris dumps Thomas, gives ring back after heartbreaking Hope realization? Ridge knew that Carter was rushing into affairs and he was right. That's how Paris ended up left at the balcony. Now, he has to have the same talk with his son, who also plans to marry Paris when Ridge knows Thomas Forrester is in love with Hope Logan. Thomas just wants to be married for the same reason as Carter. He's ready to settle down, and Paris seems to always be willing to settle. Ridge tries to get Thomas to admit his true passions because he wants his son to be happy, but will he do it? Thomas is determined to move forward, but it's hard when he shares a son with Hope. He'll also presumably end up working with her again. BMB spoilers, Poppy Nozawa's backed into a corner when Poppy Nozawa settled into life at Bone Bill Spencer's house. She no way allowed. Her history would catch up with her. Also, she spotted her history at Il Giordano before he turned up at Bill's frontal door with some pizza. When Luna Nozawa spotted them, she demanded to know what was going on, but Poppy managed to cover for herself. She knows she can't do it much longer and her precisely drafted falsehoods are soon to be revealed. Does Lee Finnegan know what's going on, and does Lee give her family the astounding reality check she's about to admit on Friday? There was commodity stinky about how that home DNA test came about. Lee's timing was a little too on the nose to haven't been a setup, right? In the end, will Luna be the most hurt out of all of this? Ridge Forrester believes Thomas Forrest is rushing. Ridge knows how important Thomas loved Hope when it left city. That's truly no way that Thomas could have gotten over Hope that gormandize considering how long he'd been in love with her. It's clearly too soon for Thomas to be engaged to anyone. Thomas needs to put on the thickets and stop running to a fire that isn't there. Ridge understands that Thomas wants another child and that he's attracted to Paris Buckingham. Still, Thomas is youthful yet, he doesn't have to rush into this. Thomas needs to decelerate down and make sure this is what he wants before he makes a move he'll lament laterally on. Tom needs to explore his passions for Hope and make sure he isn't still connected to them. Moreover, Hope Logan continues to fear. Hope has been in a state of fear ever since she learned of engagement to Paris. Hope doesn't want Thomas with anyone differently, but there's further to this story. Hope wants to be with Thomas, but she still isn't ready for marriage. Where will Hope and Thomas go from then? Is Hope going to try to beget trouble for the happy couple? Hope not only loves Thomas, but she was awaiting him to return and help to put her passions for John Finnegan in perspective.